Some great news in the world of Formula One this morning, and it's not very often we get to say that, but great news that Force India are on their way out of administration, having been rescued, I guess, by a serious bid by a group of investors led by Lawrence Stroll. It's great news for a number of reasons. First of all, it saves over 400 jobs, and I promise you, the people at that team would have been extremely concerned about their jobs. They will have all seen over the last few years the situation that Marussia went through, and then Manor, the situation Caterham went through, where they went into administration and never came out of it. So, very worrying times for those guys. So really, really great that they've managed to secure the team's future and therefore secure those jobs. That's brilliant stuff. There are, of course, a number of questions that will arise from this in terms of what will the team be called? Who will be running the team? What will the drivers be? What will the driver lineup be for the future? So those are questions that all need to be answered. But I think in the short term, it's just a real great positive story. And actually, it's a group of investors who are serious players and probably the right bid. I'm sure the administrators looked at all of the bids that came in, and there were a few. And I'm sure some of the others were very serious as well. But what we've got in this bid is we've got people being led, of course, by Lawrence Stroll, who know Formula One. Yes, they've got the money. They've obviously had to prove they've got that money to invest in the team. That's important. And that money has to come very quickly to keep things moving. But they are people that know Formula One. Lawrence has been around this sport for a while now. He knows how it works. He's a smart businessman. He's obviously got the interest of his son at heart here, which leads us on to the kind of driver lineup question. Who do we think will be driving the cars come 2019? Currently, of course, you've got Esteban Ocon, who's a Mercedes-linked driver, and you've got Sergio Perez, who brings an awful lot of money to that team, around 12 million, we think, but with his own backers. Now, one thing I would say, well, first of all, let's say that if Lawrence Stroll is leading the investors that are saving this team, pretty sure that Lance Stroll will be in one of those cars next year. That would make a lot of sense for him, for Lance. It would make a lot of sense for Lawrence. It's part of the reason, surely, that he's done this. It's a step up the grid from Williams to where Force India currently sit. So that would all make sense. I'd be amazed if that doesn't happen. I think Lawrence has put a lot of money into Williams over recent times and hasn't seen a return in terms of the way the team's performed. So I think he's probably frustrated, and if he can have a bit more control over a team in Force India, I think it's a very positive situation, I'm sure, is how he'll see it for his son's future career, and potentially for his career in terms of being a major player in Formula One. So if we say one seat is going to be taken by Lance Stroll, who gets the other one? Sergio Perez brings all this money. With a bid of this stature that's taking over this organisation, is money their biggest factor? Is money the biggest thing that they need? Probably not. Under the old regime of Force India, they never had enough money. And we don't know quite what the scale of the financial backing of this new bid is, but they've clearly got a few quid kicking around. So beforehand, Force India needed money from wherever they could get it, and Sergio Perez was a really good source for that. Good driver as well. But I don't think that's going to be the most important factor on the new team's list. So if we look at Esteban Ocon, linked to Mercedes, this new team will still want to continue with a Mercedes engine, I'm sure. If they can keep Mercedes happy by keeping a place for Esteban Ocon, and perhaps Mercedes can help to smooth that deal over with a reduced engine bill, or perhaps reducing some of the debt that Force India apparently already owes to Mercedes. I'm sure there are plenty of ways to smooth the cogs of that kind of deal. I could definitely see the lineup being Esteban Ocon and Lance Stroll. The two of them get on as well, very well. They race together in junior categories. They are probably the best friends on the grid in terms of between drivers. So lots of things make a lot of sense with that. So then what does Sergio Perez do? Well, it could well be a straight switch to Williams, couldn't it? Williams also need cash. They also need a much more experienced driver than the two they've got in their car now. So could Sergio Perez literally switch positions and go over to Williams, taking his cash with him and taking his experience with him to help develop that Williams car? That also makes a considerable amount of sense to me. So that's what I think will happen in terms of the driver market. It would be great for Esteban Ocon. I said in the video the other day that he could end up being the biggest uncertainty with all of the pieces starting to move following Daniel Ricciardo's decision the other day, that he might be the one that's left out with a bit of uncertainty about his future. Perhaps this could have just secured it for him. The other question that remains is around who will run the team, the management structure. It's a management structure that has obviously done great things on a very limited budget over the last few years. So on one hand, you could say you don't want to change it. However, when you're coming in as taking over a new team as a group of team owners and as a group of businessmen, I'm sure you will have your own ideas of how you want the structure of the team to run. And, equally, the people that are already running that team at the moment may not be entirely comfortable with the new regime, the new leadership. So, I'm already hearing rumours that there will be changes at the top of that team in terms of who's running it. We'll yet to see, exactly how that plays out. But it'll be a shame if we don't see some of the key figures retaining their roles, being recognised for the success that they've had over recent years through some difficult times at Force India. But I do feel like there may well be some change in the coming weeks. And the final question that comes out of all this, what on earth will the team be called? Who knows? I mean, they're not going to surely keep the name Force India because that was heavily linked to Vijay Mallya. So they need a new name. And I've got no idea what they would do with that. What do? You tell me. What would you call your brand new Formula One team? If you just landed the deal as owner or co-owner of a new F1 team, at the leading edge of the midfield in Formula One with a blank canvas, call it whatever you want, what would you call it? Let me know. I'm sure there'll be some great comments off the back of that. But yeah, let me know what you think. Anyway, please like and share the video. Pop a comment. I love to read them. Please do comment on whether you think the driver lineup will be as I've suggested. What do you think the team name will be? Is this a good thing for Formula One? Let me know. Speak to you next time.